Welcome back to RBD Block Challenge. I'm Cindy Cloward, and today we are working on block number 4. It's called Twirl, and it's designed by Fran Gulick. This is what it looks like in our confetti cottons, and this is what it looks like in our batiks. So like always, download the pattern from the Riley Blake Designs website, block number 4, Twirl. And again, we've got more detailed instructions this year, so many of our patterns can be printed 2-page or on 1 page, both sides. So this is a wonderful block to get done quickly. There's very few pieces and it comes together really nicely. So let's get started. We're gonna read the pattern. We're gonna take our D and E square and we're going to make lots of half square triangles from these 2 squares. This is the quick method. So I'm gonna mark corner to corner, going both directions. So that side, and then that side. And this is gonna be your sew guide. You're not gonna sew on the line. You're gonna sew 1/4 inch from each side, going both directions. So you're gonna put it underneath your machine, line up your presser foot on that side, and let's stitch down 1/4 inch from both sides. All right, let's take it back here. We've sewn all of our stitches. Now, if you've never done this before, this is gonna seem really strange, but you're cutting down the center on both sides, just like that. Okay, so what I like about our 1/4 inch plus ruler is that you can cut off those dog ears. And since these half square triangles are a little larger and then we're cutting them down to the size we want, I just need to do one side of the dog ears. So we'll just cut off one side. That's what makes this 1/4 inch plus trim it ruler. So those are cut. And again, line that center line up. It's important to take your time doing this. So these are accurate. All right, let's take these to the pressing station and press them open. I do kind of 4 and 4. I'm gonna just press them all at once and then I'm gonna press them open. I do kind of batch these. These are gonna be the center part of the block. I'm gonna press to the dark side. Let it cool underneath our clapper. Okay, I'm gonna press these to the light side. Okay, we have all our half square triangle units. I'm gonna get out my rotating mat, my Sue Daily rotating mat. And instead of a square up ruler, since we have an interesting size on these half square triangles, they're 2 3/4. I'm doing a regular 6.5 inch ruler, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to square these up to the correct size that we want. So we've already cut off one dog ear. I didn't cut off a second because this is the time I'm going to trim down this half square triangle. So I'm looking for 2 3/4 on this side and 2 3/4 on this side, and then they'll intersect right there. So I lay it on top of my half square triangle, line it up here, down to here, and I just pull that in. And I just make sure that center seam is lined up on the diagonal. So there's several markings that I line it up, and anything outside on these two sides is what I'm going to trim off. And then that's what's so great about this rotating mat. So you can just trim it down and take a look at that. That is 2 3/4 size, and we're going to trim them all down. So again, they're made larger than you need, and this is an important step that you need to take to have the accurate size unit before you go on to the next step. Everything is just trimmed the right size before you put it in the larger block. Okay, all 4, well, all 8 actually, my units are finished. I'm going to do the dark side first, and this I'll put in the corner. Let me bring out a design board, and I'm going to start assembling this quilt block. Again, it comes together so easily, and make sure you're noticing the direction of these half square triangle pieces. These ones, the dark is kind of going towards that side as well as the bottom. So that way, let's make sure that's right there, there. And then you've got the center square, then you've got these little B rectangles going all the way around like this. Okay, and then I'm just gonna assemble this in rows like this, or columns. So if you're new to quilting and you want to put a pin in there to help you as you're sewing along, feel free to put a pin in. Or if you're not new to quilting and you just like to pin things, it's a great time to add a pin. We're just going to sew down the side. And we're going to chain piece together these little units. All right, that's our first pass down the side. And you just take a look at your pattern, and that dark piece should be going that direction, so that looks good. And I don't cut between my units at all. You can if you want, if it's helpful to you. I just kind of leave them there. It's kind of my guide. And then I'm going to pin. This is where I do add a pin because it gets a little fiddly. So I'll pull my pins out. And then I know where I'm starting. And it kind of gives me a guide. And one more right there. Okay, let's take it to the machine and sew. All right. Again, I don't cut my threads because everything is hooked together and makes it really easy for this last step. So you can press right now. I'm going to choose not to press. I'll just finger press. I'm going to press this out. These seem to want to lay this direction. So I'm going to nest my seams right here. And I definitely recommend pinning, even with our Riley Lake bird pins, nesting our seams. And so they'll stay in place. So there we go. That's it on the center. Okay, and then we're going to press those out. That seam out, that one's going that direction. And we'll give it a good press after we sew these two seams. All right, let's go sew. Gets a little fiddly with all these pins. So just kind of adjust, wiggle things around. All right, let's open up, take a look. That's what we want to see, all those points coming together. Let's take it to our pressing station. I'm going to press one side at a time. Press that. And then I'll press the other side. You can do the front side or the back side. Let it cool underneath. Okay, we've got this pressed block. Let's just give it a good measure. It should measure 6 inches. This is slightly pulling in, but it's going to be fine because we're going to be able to stretch it out and finish it in the correct size. So just give it a little tug to measure up the sides. So again, we're going to take our A rectangles. We're going to sew them on the sides like that. And we got our, put them top and bottom, and then we have these half square triangle pieces. So we're going to put that there and there. And what we want to see, it's important where you place the colors, is we want this continuous line of dark, dark, light, light. So just take a look at that. Dark, dark, light, light. Same for the bottom. And it's all ready to go. We're ready to finish assembling our quilt block. And let's take a look. You can do it in like rows or columns, whatever you want to do. I'm going to choose to do it that way. So take it over to the machine. Again, we're chain piecing. Okay, I never pin it on my first pass, but I definitely pin it on my second pass. Lay it out, make sure everything's going the right direction. It looks good. I'm gonna fold that over, and I'm going to pin it on this side. Again, if it's a little too confusing for you to do chain piecing, you can assemble each one of these sections on its own. I just like to chain them all together. And I don't like to cut my threads in between. I think it keeps it all together nice and tidy. I am going to just flip it over this side to sew down this direction. We finished this. And we're gonna open it up. Again, make sure your half square triangles are in the right place, and they are. And you can press it at this point. I'm choosing not to. I'm gonna finger press, and I'm gonna nest my seams. So remember that this bottom piece was just slightly smaller than the 6 inches. I'm just gonna give it a little tug when I'm sewing, and then it's gonna line up perfectly. So just remember that if your center unit is slightly smaller than 6 inches. Again, nesting my seams. And we just have two more rows to stitch, and we are gonna be done. We're just gonna create 2 more seams. Okay, let's go sew. Okay, let's take it to the pressing station. We can open it up, and this is exactly what we want to see. Our points lining up on all corners. So we're gonna give it a press, and then open it up. And this is looking so good. How about this block? Doesn't it look beautiful? The last thing we need to do is square it up. Make sure it's 10.5 inches. Give it a look. And it looks really good. It's slightly pulled in, but not a problem. When we put everything together, we can just give it a little tug. So everything is lining up beautifully. I really enjoyed making today's block, Twirl by Fran Gulick. Fran's gonna make her own block out of her own fabric, so check out Fran's block. But that was a really good block to learn how to create a lot of half square triangles. So thanks for joining me today. Join me next time for block number 5. It's called Flower Patch, and it's designed by Heather Peterson.